Hi, everyone. It's Jennifer Huff here. So happy to be with you guys. Listen, it's a new year. Happy New Year. We're going to talk about how to unlock deep relaxation, which I could use a little bit of right now, and healing in your life today. And how maybe stress and tension block your ability to heal. But I think we probably heard enough about that. We're going to talk about how to actually release it. What physics has to say about, and what biophysics has to say about healing in your life and deep relaxation. And we'll give you some practical tools today. So again, today, and hopefully you'll walk away today with some, well, you will walk away, you know, the application of what we're going to talk about today, like the application in your own life, is really up to you. So, but these are things that I often do in my life, and they're simple and they're super easy. So some of them relate to my background with HeartMath. Some of them relate to some of the things that I've learned along the way from some genius teachers. We're also going to talk about how you somatize or store things in your cells and how to transcend that. Yeah, so there's lots to talk about. I'd love to hear from you, though. If you can, in the chat, write in, share a little bit about you. How are you doing? Hi, Sue. How are you doing? Share your name, share where you're hailing from, and what's your word for today? What's your word for today? I want to hear all about your word. Where are you at? How are you doing? What's going on? Right? So, yeah, what's going on? So, we'll talk a little bit about HeartMath. We're going to talk a little bit about biophysics and then some practical tools. And if you have any questions for me, just post them in the chat. Yeah? Make sure you post them in the chat. My wonderful producer and / sweetie pie husband Adam will usually put those questions into the heading above my head up here, and then we get to see. So you guys, onward and upward. This year there is a lot going on. Yeah. We've got in the United States, but for the world, one of the major world superpowers in the United States is changing governments to a very volatile situation, kind of throwing a lot of systems from the past in the air. Whether you feel that's good, bad, or indifferent is no, care for me. I don't, it doesn't matter. What we've got to do is understand how to make it through with ease and flow and to actually flourish through it. And one of the aspects of flourishing, although the other day I was like looking at what are the aspects of flourishing? There was about 24 of them, but one of them is being able to move through stress with grace, ease, and flow, and to be able to transmute overwhelm. So, as a for instance, one of the things that happened for me recently, actually, I'll talk about one of our clients. Justin Trudeau stepped down today. There's another thing. So, yeah, there are lots of changes happening in this world right now, you guys. I mean, tons of changes. And you can have an assessment of whether it's better or worse. But again, instead of looking at whether it's better or worse and having a position or an opinion that you fight with people over, which causes more stress, the first step to being someone who flows with life is to be able to understand the information that's being given you, and then to be able to actually make choices given the information, right? To make choices given the information. Now, for instance, there's information being given to me that causes me a lot of stress lately because of there's something going on with my health. I find that I'm taking for granted my memory. And what's happening is that I'm just I because of just moving through this stuff with my health, I'm literally needing to set up reminders, which I haven't done yet. And I keep hoping that I don't need the reminders, but it is very clear that I need reminders. And I don't want other people carrying me over forgetting stuff, right? Because then it's not their responsibility, it's mine. And so there's that. It's an interesting little thing that's like a change or a shift. But the fact that I'm kind of missing sometimes a little late, or like I catch on to an appointment coming a little late and I'm like, oh, we can't have that. But it makes my eye twitch, right? So it's just information. I don't have to beat myself up. I don't need other people beating me up either. I already have been pretty good at that over the course of my life. And so it's just information. It's like, okay, what do I need to do? Right? So the first step is start to look at the things that stress you out more as information rather than taking it in like there's something wrong. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong out there. That it's personal to you, or that you now need to protect yourself because Justin Trudeau or whatever, all the stuff, right? So it's just information. We were talking about that last night in a dinner party. It's like, stop taking things personally. Don't freak out about what's happening in the world. Your presence is required, which is the second thing. So look at everything that comes your way as information. It's informing you. Then look at everything that's coming your way, yes, as information, and then adjust accordingly. So the second thing is, remember that you signed up for the adventure of a human being having a life. And a human being having a life, I'd be more curious about why it's happening for you instead of that it's happening to you. Right? Why it's happening for you, and being available to why it's happening for you, and being available to the answers that might come from that level of curiosity, rather than having a knee-jerk reaction of emergency mode trying to fix what's broken. So Amy's asking, but what do we do with the information? And what you do with the information is you actually get yourself to the frequency of the answers so that you can come up with the answers. Because otherwise, all that's happening is you're taking it personally somehow. Then you get really frustrated or angry or sad or scared or anxious or whatever, right? All the feelings that we might have. And that's not at the frequency of the answer. The answer is always at the frequency of what you perceive would feel good, right? What you perceive would feel good. So, yeah. So recently, with respect to kind of missing things, it like just being the problem is I'm my memory is gone, so I'm so in the present that sometimes I just zone out, right? And so one of the things that I talked to Adam about recently is I really need help from people who like systems, which Adam does, to figure out how that cannot happen. That's what I did with that information, Amy, is how can I do this? Right? Because, you know, me transcending lone wolf syndrome equals asking other people for help, especially people that I love. Right? So sometimes it's about asking for help. Sometimes it's about paying for help, right? Sometimes it's about waiting a few days, leaving spaciousness and going and doing things that get you to a different frequency, taking your attention off that thing and watch who comes to you, or watch what information comes to you, or watch which, YouTube, what do people call it? The University of YouTube. Watch which YouTube comes to you. It is absolutely the gray space, Sue. And at the same time, you can be in the gray space between worlds. But if you're not actually working on your frequency to get your frequency to the place where the answers are, in other words, shifting your mood upwards and finding yourself feeling good, even if you were in the gray space, that gray space, the mood that you're in and the frequency that you're at matters, right? Otherwise, you're just going to feel floaty, and then you're going to start judging the floatiness, right? It's like Catherine Brewer said the other day. I think her sister-in-law or something said, it's like you're thrilled to be on the trapeze, and then you release to go to the other trapeze that you're going to grab onto, and in between those trapezes, it's like, what do I do with myself? Where do I go? What da, 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 da. And we can either judge that, or we can say, look, I'm flying, right? So it's really about how we relate to that in between space, whether you're doing it deliberately by meditating, or whether you're in a spiral jump, which can be very stressful, which is the third thing I want to talk about, spiral jumps. So you might think, Jennifer, that sounds a little woo. It's not woo. It's exactly what I just expressed about the trapeze. And then sometimes what happens, especially this year and last year, I'm sure that next year will be a little bit of the same. We're often being called to not only, like, it looks like you're writing a new chapter for the book of your life, but what's actually happening is you're writing a new book and you're letting go of the old book. So everything that you've been doing has been great and you've learned lots, but you're over it. And it's time. In fact, I was just talking to a client like minutes before this, which is another time I almost missed. Again, my husband had to phone me to remind me to be here today, but I was deep in a conversation with someone about this idea that basically when we come into a new time in our history, when we make an era shift, which in any of our lifetimes, excuse me, in any of our lifetimes, we have not had this big of an era shift, unless you're probably over 80, or yeah, probably over 70 or 80. So one of the things, thank you, thank you for the blessing me. One of the things with this era shift, like a shift in the era of how we process things, we're moving into a world of, instead of being productive, this is more about being creative. And thank you, Adam Lamb, for a fabulous um, uh, podcast that he and I were listening to the other day. We really are moving into a time of understanding creativity, and that creativity becomes part of our productivity, but we're not about productivity anymore. We're moving into a time where creativity is going to abound if you're up for it. That is a new book. That's not a new chapter in the old book. So life itself on planet Earth is shifting to that. It's pretty amazing. There you go. The Dawn Co. podcast. Yeah. So, you know, lots. You are not alone. And when we make those era shifts is when we're letting go of the old trapeze, going to the new one. And the space between when we're instead of writing a new chapter to the old book, we're writing a whole new book for our life. I mean, that's what the work at the Wide Awakening is all about, right? And so a spiral jump is when you're jumping an entire paradigm for your life. So, and when we make those paradigm shifts, the space in between, it looks like you don't know how to plug into yourself, your health, your life, your time, what you do. And that can cause what I call spiritual and emotional dissonance. And that spiritual and emotional dissonance happens because you're letting go of how you have been and you're moving into how you will be. How you deal with this. So this is one of the tools I want to talk about today, which is how to deal with that spiral jumpy stress. How you deal with that is you close your eyes, and maybe you want to do that with me right now. Close your eyes. Bring your consciousness behind your eyes as though you're now in your body, and now you get to let go of the world around you. Get to let go of everything in the world around you. Now, imagine that you are already a year into your spiral jump, your big jump, your evolution, your era shift. It's already a year from now. And you've integrated with all the tools and the ways of being and the new skills. You've already integrated a year from now. You're starting to understand. You've already caught the other trapeze bar. You've already done a, double flip with a twist, and you've caught the other trapeze bar. And you might not have it mastered, but you have a little bit of confidence, imagine. So now imagine that your DNA grows to include you already being there, because remember, in 3D on planet Earth is there time space. I mean, I'm sure there are other civilizations that have that too. But we're talking about planet Earth right now. 99.139% of you doesn't even live in time space. So let's go into that place where it's already a year from now, and you can embody those skills and those ideas and those new understandings of yourself and your life, and that you've already got some mastery and you're figuring out the flow. And actually, it feels pretty good and you're excited. So let yourself actually go a year from now and feel into that. That everything that's making your eye twitch now, it's not even a thing anymore. You've transmuted it. You've talked to the people. Now, let yourself imagine that there are codes, metaphysical codes that you can download. Just like in a computer, if you're going to upgrade the operating system, there are codes that tell your computer that Apple or Microsoft sends you to upgrade. Imagine that there are codes that are already complete for a year from now, and that your body right now and your cells right now are receiving the codes to upgrade, such that you've already experienced the whole year ahead, and you already have the codes to make it through with effortless ease and flow. Imagine that. And imagine that you're growing bigger, you're growing more vast, you're growing more available to moving through this whole year without resistance because you're already upgrading yourself to your cells, yourself, your DNA, your biophysical aspects to being able to live a year from now and all with all those skills, but we're actually upgrading in the now. And now we become an expanded, more self that is more available. We're more available to the flow because we've got skills and awarenesses that are being integrated into your body even as we speak. And imagine the decrease in resistance because we're able to do this. The resistance only comes because you don't know what's happening or you don't understand or the change is too big. But if we're already post all those changes and allowing our biology to catch up to that future now, then allow yourself to imagine that you can relax, that it's okay. That kind of dissonance, that kind of stress, that spiritual and emotional dissonance sometimes causes the biggest forms of stress. Yeah. And so I told you also that I would offer you a solution that has to do with HeartMath. Now, HeartMath is where the brain and the heart are has to do with their teachings all around the heart and the resonance of the heart and the resonance of the brain being in coherence. That skill or that process that I just took you through actually helps the brain to be in coherence with the heart. However, I've sort of come up with some interesting, and you can probably imagine that when your heart and your brain are in coherence, that the stress dissipates. Yeah. So, how I would language a little tool that I evolved from what HeartMath taught me is that another way, if you look at something that's really challenging for you right now, to actually take that thing that's really challenging and put it on a shelf somewhere and ask yourself the question, what's really working in my life right now? And don't stop talking about the things that are working until you feel your shoulders come down and your brain and heart going, yeah, I'm okay. So it might look like this. I'll show you what it looks like in my life. Mm, we have some beautiful friends in Asheville, and we're hanging out with them more. I'm really loving that. Uh, I get to see the sunset every day from the front of my house over the mountains, and I take pictures probably at least twice a week, and it's glorious. My health is getting better over time, better and better all the time. Um, had some really great snuggles with Mouse. He's such a snuggly dog. That dog is such a manifestation of my last dog that didn't want to snuggle because he got too hot. He was like a big teddy bear. And I'm like, Mouse doesn't get too hot. He's too cold. So what is he snuggles right up against Adam and I. Uh, Finding new technology for people's health and being really excited for it because it brings up, and you just talk over and over and over again about everything that's working. It could be things that are working about, like, literally, I'm able to hear I'm on this is real I'm on this, streamcast right now, and I'm hearing things that are really helpful. I know that this happens every Monday and that I can listen to it and it can help me reset, you know? You could say things like, I'm breathing. I woke up this morning, you know? Also, here's another thing you could say. Jennifer also took one of those cool rewiring experiences that is meant to actually completely de-stress the body and rewire it for flow. and it's called a Rasha experience. And I'm gifting everyone a $250 experience at no charge. They're usually $250 to $350. And so that Rasha experience is coming up shortly on January the 11th at 4 p.m. So make sure you click on the link that's in the comments to sign up for the free experience. It's a 45, well, it's an hour really because we're doing a preamble so you know what the Rasha is. It works with scalar waves, but you do it through sound. You just need a headset to be able to do it. But we'll set you up the information you need to know to be able to have that very powerful experience for 15 minutes before it starts. And then after the 45 minutes, we talk about what it does and what the foundational set of 12 Rashas is like and why it's a quantum leap technology. So stay tuned. Oh, you're so welcome, Carolyn. It is my pleasure. I knew the first time that I tried the Rasha that I needed to share it with everyone. So our dear friend Yannick has agreed to give people occasional free Rashas, but the benefit of Rasha happens when you do them back to back a couple of times a week over 6 weeks. So we'll talk about that too. But anyways, 2 skills we've given you so far. One is the ability to actually go into the future trajectory and bring it into now and expand yourself to be able to receive the information you need outside of the time-space reality to be able to become bigger than your current circumstances. Great way to transcend stress. Second is a little bit of heart math. A little bit of heart math, you guys. Meaning, get yourself in the place where you fall in love with what is. And it's like 5 minutes. I do it every night before I go to bed. Sometimes I do it in the morning, not always though, but it's a great way to, so good. It's such a great way to reset yourself. Sometimes you even forget what you were stressed out about in the process of doing it. HeartMath even has a tool that measures whether you reach coherence or not. But you can usually feel it yourself as well. I love HeartMath though. Last is this Rasha causes permanent cellular shifts so that you don't even, what I've found for me is that it's shifted me so much that oftentimes I don't even need the tool. It's almost in my baseline for coping with life. It's made me so expansive. So can't wait for you guys to experience that. Last but not least, it's a new year. And it's a very new year. It's not just a little new year. It's a humongous new year, right? The title of this event was about healing. So I want to finish up our talk today talking about healing. In our evolved, in a world that's working through AI, AGI, quantum computing, I mean, everything is going to move so fast. We are going to get to use levels of creativity. It's a whole other way of operating that we have never used before. It's a completely different way of plugging into the world, my friends. In that kind of world, the way we have healed is going to be very different. Now, the way we have healed, it's not going to be the same as then. It's an era shift. Healing will happen in the process of aligning with the reason why we're alive and facing forward, creating forward, being a badass champion of our frequency, such that the answers that come to us won't be because we spend the rest of our lifetime or lifetimes focusing in on what's wrong, but we start to get you and analyzing it, but we start to get used to moving forward anyhow. And in the process, what needs to be addressed because you're at a higher frequency, because you're creating. And I mean, why do people want to do healing work anyways? They want to do it so they can get on with their life. What if there's a potential to get on with your life anyways? Feel the bliss of that. And in the process, that which has slowed you down arises to the forefront, and you actually get answers, because remember, you can't solve a problem from the frequency of the problem. That's why getting on with the reason you're alive and really flying forward will put you at a different frequency and have you see the problems, so-called problems, with different eyes. In fact, we start to embody those problems more as catalysts for our creativity, and they stop even occurring as problems because you get so good at moving through them. There is a way to do that. I mean, in our work, we teach the thriving operating system. Some of you may already be operating that way, but I want you to know that I'm opening the pathways. Us together, we together in this conversation are opening up the portal to be able to relate to your stuckness differently. That it's not a problem to fix, that it's a catalyst that's there to serve you and to assist you to find clarity so that you can create anew because you've got new clarity. It's a totally different way of looking at problems. What if you could actually get to a place where you were excited when you had some contrast in your life, where you couldn't wait to see where that led because you were so smooth and groovy in your thriving operating system and you had all the skills to be able to move through that? How you open the portal to that possibility is you just talk about that it's possible. I mean, I've seen it with tens of thousands of clients. So I just want to share that with you to open the portal. Okay. Again, great way to transcend stress when things don't even occur as stressful anymore, right? So, my friends, I hope we've moved through lots today. I hope this was helpful. I hope maybe you feel a little bit more like I hope even the possibility of that thriving operating system, even if you don't know what it is yet, we'll talk about it in some future Mondays. But hopefully, even the possibility that anyone can do that. We've done it with tens of thousands of people. Just knowing that it's possible, all of a sudden, maybe drops you into a new level of maybe, right? Looking forward to next week. Next week's topic is, how do you biologically get younger even though you're adding years? And I'm excited to talk about it because anyways, I've had some really cool technology come into my life recently that's all about that. So we'll talk about it. And I am so grateful for you, Miriam. So grateful for you in my life and in our life. So everyone, biggest hugs. Use the tools, grow bigger, do all the things, grow bigger than the issue, do the HeartMath little skill that we talked about. Come to the free Rasha, and I can't wait to see you there and for us to tell you a little bit more about how special that experience is. And just love you. Happy New Year.